all afternoon. However, Saturday should be nice. Sunny skies with highs in the upper 50s to low 60s. The rain is back on Monday. For anything and everything Santa Clarita Valley related, go to hometownstation.com or find us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at KHTS Radio.
Your hometown station.
And welcome to the Alex Urbina radio show. Today we're live in the KHTS studio in beautiful downtown Newhall, California. And I'm hanging out with my lovely co-host, Ellen Tunick. And today we're going to be talking about the Empowering Teens workshop that's coming up in about 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
And I'm going to be inside of a training room with a powerful group of leaders in the community that are eager alongside of me to like really help empower these teens. I've been facilitating this transformational teen training for a little over 22 years, and I am excited to always be offering it to my own community. I do about 2 a year here in Santa Clarita, and then all the other available weekends, I'm all across the country, different parts of different states and cities. So I'm very grateful to be able to offer that here. But I want to talk a little bit about this workshop for those parents that don't fully understand the value of it or listen to the descriptions of it and either exclude their kid or include their kid. But I just want to always be talking about the value because I feel like every day there are more and more conscious parenting parents that are awakening and looking for something like this for their kids. So would you like to go down this road and really help me articulate what the value is for this workshop?
Yes.
All right.
As a participant in the adult version, I am aware and have experienced the value. So to be able to touch these children at a much younger age, nothing is impossible, and it's exciting.
Awesome. And you will be there as well.
Yes, I will.
Are you excited for that?
I am. I'm beyond excited.
I'm excited for you because it's
Yeah.
going to be an amazing experience. So let's start with teenagers themselves. At a certain point, before they become teenagers, they're younger children who are being managed by their parents, right? So
Yes.
parents, when your kids are little, you just decide you're the leader and you're going to guide them and lead them, and you're going to decide what they choose and what they don't choose and all those kinds of things. But what you forget is that at a certain point, they meaning the young people, start to realize for themselves that they have the ability to think for themselves. And they start to go, I have my own thoughts, and I'm starting to make some of my own choices. Well, then maybe it's possible that I can now be in charge of myself. And so whatever age that starts, whether it's 8 or 12 or 15, there's this natural progression of a teenager or a preteen that wants to start to decide for themselves that they are their own leader.
Push back from the micromanagement.
They don't know that they're doing that. It's just a natural progression of them trying to own their own independence. They're trying to see themselves and experience themselves as the captain of the ship, right? To be able to make choices for themselves so they can feel powerful and independent and in charge of their own life. Now, it's always the unconscious parent that either hasn't learned this, is not aware of it, clueless to this transition period. And now you have to, as a parent, decide if you're going to keep with that same structured parenting style where you're the authoritative figure, right? It's the autocratic parenting style where you're the boss and you do what I say, or you're smart enough and conscious enough to realize that's not going to work at a certain point. So I have to change my parenting style more, shifting it into being more of a mentor.
You have to be so open to watching and listening, though, to your child to even know it's coming about.
That's right. You have to be really aware and observing and also reflecting upon your own parenting style and asking yourself, what do I need? What do they need from me? Do they still need that same rigorous controlling style parent? Or do they need me to now start asking open-ended questions, or asking them questions like, what are you going to do now? Where are you going to go from here? What would you like to do?
What's your plan?
What support do you need from me? How can I help you? So there's a whole parenting shift that's awaiting for you to be able to step into that role. But most parents are not that conscious themselves or aware, and we just either haven't been taught or we just never learned that.
We can't make that shift. As a parent, it's really hard for many parents to make that shift into, you will do as I say, to now how do you want to do that?
Well, that's a belief that you've created.
Correct.
It's not.
There we go again.
It's not the truth that is hard. It's just a process, and for some people, it's harder than others because they want to hold on to that control because they've been doing it for such a long time that for some of us parents, we've just become that role. It's part of me now is that I'm this controlling parent that has to, know where you're at all the time, or if I say you got to do it, you have to do it. And if we've been doing that for 14, 15 years, it can be a challenge to get off it, but it's not hard unless you say it's hard. It's not difficult unless you say it's difficult. But really, any kind of personal development or any kind of change is fairly simple if you're willing to see the value of it. The value has to be big enough, and then it's a process of just surrendering. So if you can learn how to surrender the control,
there's that word again.
Yeah, surrender the need to being in control of them, surrendering the fear of if I let go, this might happen. If I back off a little bit, they might now start challenging me. I have to let go of the fear of if they do start challenging me, then what do I do, right? So all of those things come up that you still have to be willing to surrender, right?
And there has to be things inside old beliefs. You have to be doing as much changing as they do.
I agree. Now, if you do or you don't, your teenagers get to a certain point now where if you haven't shifted into that transition period into more of what I call the inspirational parent or the advising parenting role or the empowering parent, if you haven't shifted into that, then now they have an experience of being really frustrated from age 9 or 12 or whatever it is, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, where they're struggling and they're battling it out with you because they're in this natural
Constant
progression.
conflict.
Natural progression to try to flap their own wings and develop their own ability to think for themselves, choose for themselves, and own their own power.
And create their own identity.
Right. Now, I need you as a parent to be open to the possibility that your kids, whether they show you outwardly or not, they have a lot of resentment towards you that they've collected through the years. Now, I know that might be challenging for a lot of parents. They're like, what are you talking about? My kids absolutely love me and know that everything I've done for them has been for the best.
Yeah,
right?
love and resentment have nothing to do with each other.
So be open to the possibility they have a lot of resentment towards you that they made up because they're the meaning maker to their own experiences, right? And if they don't understand why you made certain decisions, of course they're going to go, you did that because you're out to get me and all that stuff, right? But they got resentment. They got a lot of anger towards you that they've stuffed, whether you're the best parent or not. It's human nature.
It's part of that separation.
Yeah. So let's call that, all of that, we're going to call it emotional baggage. They have a lot of emotional baggage that is stuffed in a tank, and that emotional baggage is not allowing them to fully see themselves as being the true gift to this world and being amazing and all the great things that you see about them. They can't see it because their emotional tank is tarnished and full and over capacitated with all of this emotional stuff that they got. Now, one of the gifts in this training, it's a small portion of it, but it's in there, and it's in a process where we all collectively have come to our own conclusions that I might still have some stuff in that emotional tank that's getting in my way. So we decide that we're going to cathartically release it all together in this room. And it's the most amazing, powerful gift to watch human beings just flush their stuff out and then have a breakthrough on the other end. So that's one gift out of probably 30 dozen powerful gifts that come out of this training. So be open to the possibility that just that alone, for them to let go of all that stuff, is some powerful, tremendous healing. Some therapists that have been inside of my training and watched that, some of the most amazing feedback I've ever gotten, and it sounds some version of this. They all say it in a different way, but it sounds like a version of this. You know what, Alex? What you do in 2 days takes some of us therapists 2 to 3 years just to develop the trust and credibility with these kids to be able to start letting them release some of that stuff out. And in 2 days, you've gotten them, actually within 3 hours, you've gotten them to trust you. And then in the next 12 hours later, you're able to get them to flush out years and years of stuff that they've been holding on to. And what an amazing gift that is. And I'm not saying that because, to try to impress anybody. I'm just telling you that's the feedback I've gotten from health professionals that have been in my training and saw the magic of transformational training, which I didn't create. It was just an experience that I had that I realized what a gift this is, and that we gotta take this to our communities and we gotta offer this to our kids. Because if I experienced that 23 years old and it was such an amazing release, and life-changing. Why wouldn't we not have this for our teenagers? You know that old saying, if I knew then what I know now.
Yeah.
Right? So it was like,
but
okay, yeah.
You know it.
Yeah, so in my 20s, I got this experience, and I was like, I felt so free and so alive and so refreshed and full of hope to now take my life on in a clean direction. I thought, how many kids out there are suffering with this emotional baggage, and they don't know that they have it, right?
Or that there's something different.
That's right. Now, so that's just teeing up some of the stuff. Now, if I go over all the different things that you could possibly discover and learn in this training, it'll literally take months, a show a day for months. So I just sat down right now before we start a show, and I just thought of the top maybe 10 things, and we can talk about them. And we probably won't even get to the past 4, but it's a starting place.
Absolutely.
Right? It's a starting place.
Let's do it.
All right. So the Teen Empowering Workshop, what is it? And what's the value there for my child? So what can they learn, right? They can discover all the things that they don't know that they don't know. Now let me explain that. I need you to be open to the possibility that as a human being, there's things that you know, like I know how to tie my shoes, I know how to brush my teeth, I know how to make my bed. Then there are things that I don't know, like I don't know how to build a house, I don't know how to paint a car. There's things that just I know I don't know those. And then you have to be open to the whole possibility that there are things that you don't know that you don't know. Like I don't even know that I don't know that.
Oh.
And in that area is a whole level of discovery of the things that you don't know that you don't know. Now if you can get into that area in one lifetime and just swim around it and discover some things you don't know, that's where all the powerful breakthroughs comes from.
Wow.
That's where wisdom starts to be born from, is you being courageous enough and have the audacity to believe there's this area called the things I don't know that I don't know. And I'm sure everyone listening to the sound of my voice has ever had an experience like this in some way in their life where they went, oh my God, like this is so valuable to me, it's so meaning. But prior to you having that aha moment, you didn't think you were going to get it.
No.
Or you went somewhere and you're like, do I really have to go to this? When you go, you just walk out of there crying because you're like, oh my God, I needed that, right?
I needed that.
That's what this transformational training is for teenagers. They don't know what they don't know, and in this space, with the technology and the way that we set everything up, we put these kids in certain scenarios where they have to look at themselves, and then they discover the things that they don't know about themselves. So let me go over what some of those are, and then stop me at any time and say, I want to talk about this.
I just want to ask a quick question. When you say teens, this workshop is specifically for what age group of teens? So
I decided that we're going to do 13 to 17 years old, 22 years ago, and it's been working perfect. And the reason why is because we've had a couple of 11 or 12-year-olds, like their parents are like, can they come in? And I always tell them, if they're mature,
Right.
11 or 12-year-olds, because there's some 11 or 12-year-olds
Absolutely.
that are like 17. And there's some 17-year-olds that are like 9,
12-year-olds.
right? Yeah. So it depends on their life experience and how sharp they are. Some kids are born with just this enlightened spirit about them, like old souls. So it depends. I've had kids in that are 13, 14, and they have the mentality of a 9-year-old, and they get lost. And so they can't keep up. And so a lot of times I'll send them home, more so from not wanting to set them up not to win. Does that make
Right,
sense? Like, we're doing them a
absolutely.
disservice when I
Right.
notice that they're lost, or they can't keep up, or
It's
they've checked in, checked
timing.
out so many times. Yeah.
Timing in their life.
Right. So I leave it up to the parents to decide, like, no, my kid might be 12, but they're really like a 16-year-old and they need this,
Okay.
or I think that they can benefit from it. But normally it's 13 to 17 years old. So in the area of I don't know what I don't know, and this is the reason why we don't know, because unconsciously we're pretending not to know. So here's an example. Let's say your husband was pretending not to know that he's stubborn. Now, I know that your husband's not stubborn. He might be many things, but I know he's not a stubborn guy. But let's say he was, just for in this scenario, let's say he was.
I can work with
Okay,
that.
so let's say he was stubborn, right? And he doesn't know that he's stubborn, but you experience him being stubborn for 20, 30 years. And all of a sudden, one day, he either goes to a workshop or a seminar or has a coaching session, or he makes a stubborn decision, gets in his car, the wheels, he loses control. He almost loses his life, and he has a powerful awakening in that moment of how stubborn he was that got him to almost lose his life. And he comes home to you and he's crying and he goes, I just realized all those years you've been telling me how stubborn I am. I got to experience it for myself. And so now I can no longer pretend that I'm not stubborn anymore. Are you following me?
I totally follow
So
you.
as human beings, our ego has us in one of their ego games is pretend not to know that we're doing or being a certain way that's sabotaging our full potential.
Okay.
Got it. Now, here are some of the things that the kids are pretending not to know. So the first one I threw out there was, in the example, stubborn. And in their stubbornness, there are prices that they're paying in their relationships, and there are prices that other people are paying because they're being stubborn, but they don't know yet for themselves that they're stubborn.
Or that they're paying a price.
Or they're paying a price, or that it's affecting other people because of their stubbornness.
Which ultimately affects them.
Them and everything around
Right.
them, their entire
Vacuum.
life, for the rest of their life, as long as they're choosing to be stubborn, whether it's conscious or unconscious. Now imagine your son or daughter, if they have this stubborn way about them, has their own awakening, realizing that they're stubborn. They come home and going, oh my God, Mom, how come you never told me I was this stubborn, right? Imagine them having that awareness. Life altering. You
Yes.
can't pay for that kind of breakthrough. Here's another thing that they don't know about themselves. I don't know that I get annoyed very easily by you. I don't know that that's happening. But the people in your life can see that you're
And feel it.
they can feel you're easily annoyed because you're rolling your eyes, or every time you walk in a room, they're walking the other way. And this is a common one that parents always are hearing their kids going, oh my God, you're so annoying. And they walk, and their kids are walking out and you're going, what? I'm just being me. What do you mean I'm annoying? So kids don't know that they're being annoyed by their parents. They don't realize that that's happening. Got it?
Okay.
The next thing they don't realize that they're doing is that they're lying. They don't know
themselves.
They don't.
Everybody.
Well, everybody, but including themselves, that they're living a lie. They don't know that they're lying. Now, if you call them on it, and they go, "Okay, I was lying," they don't know how it's affecting everyone, and they don't know the prices that they're paying for it, and it's not big enough for them yet. So they pretend not to know or really look at and examine that they're lying, and everything about them is
And the
a lie.
cops
All of it,
Yeah.
the whole racket. They're totally unaware of it. Now I'm going to have parents that are going to disagree and go, "No, my son knows he's lying. And I'm not saying that he doesn't know he's lying, but he's in a state of pretending not to know. So it takes away the ownership of how
the accountability
and the power of how it's affecting them.
Or he's just knowing it and choosing not to acknowledge it.
Exactly. Well, the same thing.
Same thing.
Pretending not to know is I'm going to choose not to own it.
Okay.
I'm just going to pretend, right? We do a lot of pretending when we're unconscious. When we come back from the break, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the prices that you pay, more specifically, and then we're just going to keep going down the line, and we're just going to keep peeling the onion, because kids are unconsciously unaware of the things that they're doing that are sabotaging them, and until they wake up and see it for themselves, they're going to keep going down that road, and then they're going to be struggling as adults.
Right.
Now, having affirmed those behaviors and not really knowing how to get themselves out of the way. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we're going to take it to a whole nother level. Stay tuned for the Alex Urbina radio show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
Santa Clarita, bedbugs are taking over our city. They've invaded our homes, our businesses, and most importantly, our sleep. If you have suspicious bites that appear nightly, or have a bug that you need ID'd, your best option is to make one call to All Pro. We offer a 100% guarantee that your bedbug issues will be solved with heat in one treatment. No need to tent or spray your house with chemicals. Heat is all you need. Call 661-298-2200 or text me a bug picture to 661-645-0540. It's time to sleep tight again, SCV.
Fruit arranged like flowers? What a delicious idea! Edible Arrangements specializes in creating a variety of fresh fruit arrangements overflowing with fresh, hand-designed fruit and filled with strawberries, pineapple, grapes, cantaloupe, honeydew, and seasonal favorites. Made to order in a size you select and ready to eat and enjoy. You can even add chocolate to any arrangement. Edible Arrangements is always fresh, always appropriate, and always appreciated. Order yours today, 253-0052 or ediblearrangements.com. Edible Arrangements is on Soledad near Bouquet Canyon.
Marston's Restaurant has been a Pasadena landmark, voted the best breakfast in California by the Food Network magazine. Discover Marston's Santa Clarita location, open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Marston's also has a fantastic catering menu that adds a delicious twist to any event. And they cater picnic dinners for that memorable romantic date. Experience Marston's on Newhall Ranch Road and McBean, or log on to marstonsrestaurant.com.
Are you at least 55 and have a torn irreparable rotator cuff? If so, you may qualify for a no-cost clinical study of an investigational shoulder implant. Visit rotatorcuffstudy.com. Learn more about the study being conducted at Southern California Orthopedic Institute's Valencia Clinic at rotatorcuffstudy.com. See a video of the device and get more information on how to enroll at rotatorcuffstudy.com.
That's rotatorcuffstudy.com, rotatorcuffstudy.com.
Sponsored by Microair Surgical Instruments.
Hometown.
They're amazing, and every single one of their songs is amazing, except for like one.
Your hometown station.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina radio show. Today we're talking about the Empowering Teens Workshop. And if you missed the first part, I teed up a lot of how the teen training is set up and how it really supports kids and some of the things that's going on behind the scenes. But I want to catch us back up because I have so many other things to talk about that this is going so fast, we're not going to get to half of them. So I want to just kind of jump in where we left off. So the next thing that as kids in the area of I don't know, that I'm being a certain way that's sabotaging my results is that I don't know that I'm afraid. And so therefore I don't know that I'm afraid. Instead of being honest about the fear, what I do is I act out. And if I was just awoken to the point where I can go and honest enough to go, you know what, I'm just afraid in this. And so if I just sat with my parents and explained to them I'm afraid, instead of acting out and then
making excuses
and having my parents think that it's all about my behaviors, because 9 times out of 10 when parents come to me and they go, I need you to help me with Johnny, he's doing XYZ, 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 and I have to get them to understand that there's something going on underneath that is not about X, Y, and Z.
Never is.
It never is. When you go to the doctor and you go, I got this arm pain, it's like my hand's numb, and you want him to look at it, and he's looking at your neck, right? And you're like, no, the pain's over here. Yeah. So there's always an underlying issue. And so kids don't know a lot of times that they're afraid, and they don't know how to notice they're afraid.
Or that they're allowed to be afraid.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And there's a whole world of not knowing about the fear, and that it's okay to have the fear. Plus, it's okay to be courageous enough to acknowledge the fear is there and then to communicate that. They don't know how to do any of that. So what they do is they act out. So let me show you what some of the acting out looks like. One of the act out is to push people away, right? So you're afraid, but instead of acknowledging the fear, you push people away. You get very annoyed easily by your brother or your sister or your mom or your dad. You're annoyed, but underneath that is you're really afraid about you having some fear about something. Another acting out is that you'll lie. Another acting out is that you'll hide out, not wanting to be around everyone or anyone. Another way of acting out is you'll be negative.
Yes.
Another
make excuses. Be negative.
Yeah, exactly, and so on and so on. And I go down a list. Don't have the time, but I go down a list of all the things that your kids are showing up as a symptom or a behavioral issue. A lot of times when we get down to the crux of it, it's usually because there's some fear they're experiencing. And that's why a therapist knows how to go down to that crux. Any kind of professional can go, it's not about all of that. It's let's talk with Johnny. Let's find out what's really going on. And when you narrow it down and you can get Johnny to go, yeah, I guess it is just I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to be what I want to be, making a living as a actor or whatever it is. And when you get to that, all of a sudden the parents go, oh my God, then if it was that the whole time, how come we haven't been talking about that? You haven't been talking about it because your kids aren't self-aware yet. There's no self-awareness for them to even look, to even notice that. So what they do is they just, by default, they act out. And as a conscious parent, you knowing that helps you help them.
Yes.
But if you're reacting,
make it safe.
Yes, but if you're reacting to their symptom, you can never see what's really going on underneath there. The next thing that I don't know that I'm being is I don't know that I've become a victim in my life. Like looking through the victim filters and blaming other people for my life, the way it hasn't turned out or the way I want it to turn out, instead of taking responsibility for it. So in the training room, we go over the distinction of being a victim and how it renders you powerless. And then we show different scenarios. And then they have to match that up with all the times that they've been blaming others in their life, including their parents, so that switch gets flipped on and they go, oh my God, I can never change anything as long as I'm blaming.
Right.
Because when you're blaming other people, it's you're doing this to me. You can't change that.
Right.
But if you can now see it from, no, I'm allowing you to do that, then now I can make some different choices to change that. So when you teach kids
illuminating.
When you teach kids these distinctions, they're smart enough to go, oh my God. Now it's more imperative for them that they decide for themselves, I need to start owning my own stuff. Now I need to stop blaming my parents or anyone else for my life. I need to start taking responsibility, because once I choose the responsible version,
I will move forward.
I can now change that and start a different course. The next thing is that I don't know is that I'm insecure. And that there are certain insecures that sabotages certain areas of my life, as well as certain relationships, if not all of my relationships. It's very challenging for any human being to acknowledge I have insecurities. If we were in a room full of 100 people, random people, and I said, raise your hand if you know absolutely without a shadow of doubt you have insecurities, you would probably get you'd probably get 5 honest people that would raise their hand. Yeah. Yeah. And so why would we avoid acknowledging that I might possibly even have some insecurities?
Because somehow insecurities have been tagged wrong.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
why.
And ego will never let you raise your hand to acknowledge you have insecurities. However, the part of growing and developing is by you being open to that I do have them, and that what's wrong with that. We all have them. It's just those that are hiding them and those that aren't. But if I can really now acknowledge that I have them, now I can see them more, and I can actually, now that I can see them, I can change them. But you can't change them if you're not acknowledging that you have them. That's right. The next thing that you have to be open to the possibility as kids that they're not aware that they're still operating from their past. So teenagers don't know that they keep bringing their past
into their present,
into the present moment, which ends up tainting a brand new moment of unlimited possibilities for them to create something brand new. So what we end up doing is we end up recreating the same version from our past in this new moment, like Groundhog Day.
Over and over and over again.
Yeah, because you keep bringing your past distrust, you keep bringing your past resentment into this new relationship with your mom or dad. You keep bringing. So until they're explained that, and until that's uncovered and they realize that that's the game they're playing, they're oblivious to it. And you as the parents probably don't know that that's happening. So how are you going to explain that to your kid?
Because you're doing the same thing.
And even possibly, and even as a parent, if you're explaining it to them, they're definitely not going to listen to you because they've already got you in a parent box. But what would it look like if it was coming from somebody they respected, whether they learned to respect you in an hour or two or not, but they had somebody go, okay, this person and their team is explaining some powerful things to me. Like, I'm going to just soak all of this up because this is years and years of wisdom, hundreds and thousands of years of wisdom to be able to help me look in and look at myself and realize what's missing here and the way that I operate that's getting in my way. And so what's empowering is to explain that to kids and see their face light up, especially knowing that they didn't want to be there in the first place. Knowing that their parents forced them to be there, and all of a sudden they come in with these hoodies on and their arms are crossed,
body language,
and then within an hour or two they're sitting on the edge of their seat and they're like raising their hand and they're participating, and we make it fun. So learning is fun there, but we get to work and it's a powerful 48-hour experience. And a lot of times I tell people, and they say, "Can you explain the training?" And I say to them, it's very challenging to explain an experience, because the training is really an experiential journey that kids get invited to embark on.
And it's so personal.
It is personal. So I can't tell you what your kids are going to experience, because the way the training is designed is it's set up to meet every individual kid no matter where they are or whatever they're dealing with. So it's a general broad thing. It's more of okay, look in now at yourself and see what you choose and why did you choose that? So Tommy's going to check in with himself, and he's going to see that he chose it from fear. Melissa's going to check in and realize she chose it from having resentments. Someone else is going to choose in and they're going to recognize that they chose from self-doubt and all those different. So there's literally, if there's 30 kids, there's 30 different trainings going on in one huge training.
But that's the beauty of it.
Exactly. That's the point.
Yeah.
However, how do you explain that to parents that this is what's possible?
Leap of faith.
Well, it is a lot of leap of faith. It's if I can just grab a piece of okay,
of interest.
I don't know exactly what my kid's gonna get out of it, but if he can get any version of whatever Alex is talking about has come from these breakthroughs, I want him to have that, or I want her to have that. The other thing that so we're clear about the past. We're bringing past. Kids are bringing their past into the present moment unconsciously, totally unaware, and then they end up sabotaging something that could be brand new experience or a brand new result. They're just creating the same kind of result because they're still bringing their past into the present moment. The next thing is that a lot of times they can't see and recognize that they're ungrateful. And when it comes to being ungrateful, I think comes from a state of just being stressed and being in the victim mode for so long. You gradually get to this place where you're just hopeless, where you're ungrateful, you're bitter. I don't think we just overnight, we're happy and excited.
And then all of a sudden.
Yeah, and then tomorrow, I think a little bit of time, something happens to us. We get
chipped away.
We get let down.
Inside.
We get frustrated. We get annoyed, and we hold all that stuff and we stuff it down in that emotional tank.
But being ungrateful is a huge barrier to moving forward.
Right. So imagine if your kid came into a training room for 2 days, and forget all the other countless breakthroughs that can happen. If they just became grateful for the blessings that they do have, rather than looking through the filters of, oh my God, my life is really whack because I don't have these things.
Right.
Just shifting that paradigm in a profound way can really set them up to now hear you in a different way and follow you in your direction and the advice you're giving them in a totally different way. So gratitude is one of the thousands of blessings and breakthroughs that can come from that. But you got to be open to that. They're totally unaware that they're ungrateful. Even if you tell them, son, you are so ungrateful, all these things that you have, and it just goes in one ear and out the other.
Falling on deaf ears.
It's one ear and out the other ear. Now, if they're in an experiential exercise where they stop and they see themselves being ungrateful and they go, oh my God,
that's what
I've been ungrateful for everything in my life. And then they can now start seeing
ripple effect.
Going back to all the things that they were ungrateful for. Now, here's the magic about these aha moments. When you can have your kids realize it for themselves, they own it. When you tell them they're doing something, it's your opinion, and they don't want to hear your opinion because for 3 years they've been they've trained themselves to not listen to your opinion. But when they have those aha moments, now they're going, I am stubborn. I am ungrateful. I do have resentment towards people. Now they're coming to you going, you know what, I'm so sorry that I didn't hear you before. I was able to see it this weekend. What do you say we start a new relationship, and now I can kind of trust you a little bit more, that when you're pointing those out to me, that you're pointing them out to me because you want me to win, not because I think that you're just being a jerk dad or exactly.
a jerk mom.
Yeah, or you're just saying that because you want my life to suck or whatever it is, right? Because that's what they're making up. The next thing is you got to be open to the possibility that they're unaware, that they've created limiting beliefs about themselves that are not necessarily true, right? However, because they're theirs, right? Because they're my beliefs and I've created them, they're real to me.
Yes.
So be open to the possibility that your sons and daughters, since they were little, they've created these limiting beliefs about themselves that might not necessarily be real.
This is so big.
But to them,
this is big.
But to them, they're real, and they really act as those are real, and it shows up in their behavior patterns, the choices they make. Everything is driven based on their belief system,
which they think is their truth.
They think it's true.
Right.
So here's a quick example, and it's the one I use all the time. It's very common. Little Johnny's excited about a good grade they got or the gold star they got on their test, and they can't wait to be validated by their father. So they run all around the house trying to find Dad to share in the victory. Dad, where are you? And so Johnny kicks the door open and goes, look what I got. And Johnny doesn't know that Dad's really frustrated because he doesn't know where he's going to find the money to pay for the next light bill. So in all of his excitement, when he goes, Dad, look what I got, Dad turns around and says, not right now, Johnny. Give me a minute. Well, Johnny doesn't hear not right now. What he hears is, I'm not important to you. One more time, I don't matter. And so Johnny starts creating limiting beliefs about
who he is,
his relevance, his worth. He's creating these beliefs about his dad not loving him and him not being important. Or he's even validating other beliefs like, well, yeah, if this was my younger sister coming, you would have taken the time.
Right.
So you don't understand how crazy this monkey mind we have, which is called our ego. It creates limiting beliefs when we don't fully understand something. Like we don't know how to just stop and go, all right, I'll come back later and see what this was all about. That my dad not.
The story.
We have to make up a story to finish it, to complete it. So unaware and unconscious, we leave it up to ego to make the decision. And ego goes, all right, son,
I got this.
Move out the way. Your dad just doesn't love you, kid.
Yeah.
When you gonna
deal with it?
Yeah, and there's a whole other there's a whole other show about ego and why it does all that. But I wanted to paint this picture about how our kids could possibly have these self-limiting beliefs that are actually transparent. Transparent meaning we can't see them until someone points them out. Or you go to a class where they teach you about these limiting beliefs that you could be having and give you ideas or examples. And then in your life, you catch yourself and go, oh my God, that's the limiting belief that Alex was talking about.
Just the concept of a limiting belief just the concept that we could even have one is huge.
Pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yes.
So one of the other things that as teenagers, what we're totally unaware, like the things I don't know that I don't know about myself, is that I could be really needy of approval, validation, attention from other people to find my own worth.
To validate me?
Well, even in the example about Johnny, why is Johnny running to his room to tell Dad about his little gold star?
Because he gets that validation.
He gets the validation of other people, but this is a normal thing in relationships. Unconsciously in relationships, we need to be in relationships to know who we are. We need other people to validate us. Until we embark on our own spiritual journey of validating ourselves, so it frees us up to not be needy of other people to validate us. If you never wake up and never have that conscious awakening or awareness, you're going to constantly be in relationship after relationship, always needing someone else to validate you. And then the minute,
and it'll never be enough.
It'll never be enough. And if it stops, guess what happens? If you stop validating my need, I need to keep needing it. So I'm going to try to go find it somewhere else.
Bye-bye.
And this is how relationships break up, right? Boyfriend, girlfriend, they're really sexy beings and, after each other, and they fall in love. But each one of them has this incompleteness and neediness of the approval of the other. So they go year after year dating. They might even get married. And at a certain point, the one person just either starts evolving and stop needing the validation of their spouse, but this one still needs it. And so if this one doesn't wake up and grow it's the same way this person does, then this one's going to not be giving them what they need anymore. Right. So then it's very easy for them to go, well, I need to go find it somewhere else. And that's a whole other topic about relationships. And you learn this in the Extraordinary Relationship Workshop about healing your own self and loving yourself enough and working on those limiting beliefs and insecurities. So it frees you up to be in your own relationships. So those are some of the powerful breakthroughs that your kids get to have because they're totally unaware of the things that they don't know about themselves, that are sabotaging them in their relationship with you, mom and dad. But what would it look like if you took a leap of faith, put them in this training room, and all of a sudden they were able to see it for themselves? And on the graduation day, when you come, they break down like a little baby, and they're looking at you going, I'm so sorry that I put you through all this. And you're inside going, yes, like that's what we wanted for you, is for you to see.
Find yourself.
Find yourself, but also find the things that
make you great.
That you couldn't see, that was getting in the way of us connecting and us loving you. Even the perspective of, Mom and Dad, you're out to get me. Instead of, no, son, no, my dear, we've been on your team to help you win.
Right. You have it, but it hasn't been communicated.
It hasn't been seen like that because of the skewed perception that your son or daughter has, and they're totally unaware that they have it. So imagine them actually taking their glasses off and going, oh my word, how long have these been so dirty like that?
Now I can see.
Yeah. And then now all of a sudden, during the training, we can clean them out, put them back on, and go,
whoa, new world.
Now I can see some of the things that I couldn't see before. That's the power of transformational trainings, and we have it for teenagers, been doing it for over 20 years all across the world. And we got it here in my own community in Santa Clarita, and we can't even fill the training room. I think it's just because people don't know the value of it. I feel like when parents are really willing to open up their mind and take a leap of faith and go, whether I can see it or not, I feel that there's going to be something powerful there for my son or daughter.
Well, even as an adult and a parent, feel the fear and do it anyway.
There you go. Because sometimes your biggest breakthrough comes from you getting outside your comfort zone, taking a leap of faith and trust, and doing it anyways. We're going to take a break. Stay tuned for more of the Alex Urbina radio show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
Who says nothing good happens after midnight? Denny's is best known for their breakfast served round the clock, like the Grand Slam. But you can enjoy breakfast, lunch, or dinner in a casual atmosphere 24/7. At Denny's, the lunch and dinner menu has a variety of appetizers, craveable burgers, salads, and entrees, along with the best desserts in town. Wherever you live in Santa Clarita, there's a Denny's close by. If you're pulling an all-nighter or don't feel like cooking, get into Denny's today. Good stuff is happening at Denny's.
The Art Gallery of Santa Clarita Artists Association, located in downtown Newhall on 6th Street between Railroad and Main, features local members' original artwork with changing exhibits every 2 months. Purchase affordable art for your home or as gifts. Open Friday through Sunday or by appointment. Artists wishing to join the SCAA can visit santaclaritaartist.org, come to our free monthly meetings at Barnes & Noble, or stop by the gallery. For upcoming shows, check us out at santaclaritaartist.org. We make visual art visible.
We all know sometimes people lose their way. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, the Way Out Recovery SCV may have the answers you've been waiting for. The Way Out is the premier intensive outpatient treatment center serving Santa Clarita. Asking for help is the first step. Call The Way Out today, 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444 for a private free assessment. The Way Out is an accredited, affordable outpatient program that accepts most insurance. Call us at 661-296-4444 or check us out online at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. Quit battling with yourself. Ask The Way Out for help today.
Hometown.
I wanted to let you know that I really appreciate the way you guys do what you do.
Your hometown station.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina Radio Show. Today we're talking about the Empowering Teens Workshop, giving you a little bit of insight. I mean, we only touched on maybe a handful of possible ahas and breakthroughs that your son or daughter can experience by being inside of a transformational training. But, I mean, I can go on and on. There's probably 2 or 3 dozen lists that fill up the paper of the possible breakthroughs that kids can have, because every kid is at a different level on their own interpersonal journey, whether they're conscious or not. But what's cool about it is that the training meets each kid where they are, and it's designed to just have you look at yourself. I'd like to say that these trainings are basically a training to introduce self-discovery and self-awareness. Now, what parent would not want their kid to be self-aware? Right? Because you think about the kids when you ask them, like, what were you thinking, son? And they go,
oh, no.
I don't know. Right? But what if you ask them, like, what was going through your mind? Like, really? And he goes, you know what? I was afraid of getting in trouble. And so because I was afraid of getting in trouble, I think I thought in my mind that it's better to deal with it later when you were calm instead of coming in now. And then you just go, okay, that's a good one, because you're probably right. I probably would have been upset. But just imagine having your kid articulate himself or herself like that, because they're able to look at themselves, know their own state of mind, know their own emotional state, and be able to explain that to you in an honest way.
So do you find that kids that have this opportunity to go to one of these teen trainings look forward to the next teen training? I mean, I know when I went to my first training, I couldn't wait to come back and do it again. Do kids have that same want once they, like, it was a spark, and I knew there was so much more that I could learn. Do the kids feel that way too?
Some do, some don't.
Okay.
So the ones that do have that gene in them, like you and me, where when we just have that profound aha, we're just like, I want more of that.
I'm not stopping here.
Yeah. And then there's others that I see it similar to skydiving for the very first time. I don't know if you've ever jumped out of a perfully good airplane.
No, but my daughter has.
Okay, I have too. And so that, it's nerve-wracking, and you go through it, and when you're coming down from, the sky and you're like, you feel like you're in heaven, because there's no sound, there's no wind. is just so beautiful. And so I started crying because it was a beautiful experience.
So serene.
And when you get to the bottom, you're like, oh my God, you're lit. Like you feel like it's like a natural high.
It took you a long time to actually come down, right?
It did. It took about a week or two.
Yes.
Now, if you asked me if I wanted to do it again, I'm probably going to hesitate because I'd have to go through the fear again, overcome the fear, and be my true champion again.
Okay.
To do it again. And so that's what the other half of the kids are. Is like, I've been there. It was amazing. It was life altering, and
I'm good.
But but they might find excuses to not go because ego's strong. And ego's there going, you did that already.
Yeah, you're all good.
And then you couple that with the millennials and now the Generation I that have know-it-allism. When you have know-it-allism, you don't need to do those kinds of things
because you know it all.
Yeah, of course, you know it all. And there's no price to pay, right? If your parents are enablers and there's no price to pay, you're just going to go, I don't need to do that thing.
So do you also find that the teens feed off each other?
Absolutely. They actually teach each other. They support each other. It's incredible. I've seen, 30 kids that don't know each other from a certain community, and then within 2 or 3 hours, they're there rallying around each other. It's almost like they become a family in those 48 hours. And so a lot of them become lifelong friends because of the vulnerability and allowing each other to see what's coming up. And it's just an amazing, it's an experience of a lifetime that most of these kids will never get ever again in their lifetime. And the reason why is because these trainings aren't all over the place.
Right.
Even after 50 years of transformational work and then 25 years of teen transformation, they're not embraced yet for whatever reason. It's not, the timing's off. We haven't got to that place yet where we've embraced it as a society. The conscious
quick
shift.
To go to the therapist.
Well, a lot of them aren't even doing that, which is kind of a good sign and a bad sign because I believe in therapeutic, help and therapy. But I also feel like therapy is reserved for certain people that have that are real delicate in that process and need a little bit more one-on-one help and hand-holding, and it's its own stage.
Right.
But for healthy-minded people that just are unconscious, they're just unconscious but there's a heart of a champion inside of them. You give them a training like this, and they wake up and they go down a whole new path, being empowered. So it just depends. However, I do believe that the transformational training is for everyone.
Yes.
Every teenager, every parent, and this is why.
Every age,
every walk of life. I don't care how smart you are. You can be the most brilliant person, how much money you make, how powerful you are. And the reason why is because there's always what I call the gap. And the gap is that space in between where you are and where you want to be. And I don't know anyone in my life who is just like, no, I'm there already.
Yeah, I'm good.
Including myself. And what I found out is in personal growth, when you look up at the scale from 0 to 10 and you realize you're at a 5 and you go, you know what, I want to be at the 10. You work really hard, right? And conscious and aware and invest a lot of time and money and effort into getting yourself to the 10. When you finally get to 10 and go, and you start to celebrate and you're like, I'm at the 10. Oh yeah, I'm at the 10. And someone taps you on the shoulder and I go, hey buddy, look up. Yeah. And you look up and you go, where'd the 20 come from? It's like when you're a 5, you can't see past the 10. When you get to the 10, the scale moves up. That's all the time we have. Ellen, thanks for being here. I'm excited for you and me and everybody in the training in the next 3 weeks.
Amazing.
Yeah, if you want to register your kid, go to my website at alexurbina.com or find me on Facebook or type in the Empowering Teen Workshop here in Santa Clarita, March 2nd and 3rd. Thanks for listening. We're here every Friday right here on the Alex Urbina Radio Show on your hometown station, KHTS.